JLTV, America's chosen network.
Welcome to LChaim. On today's show, we'll take you to the Sunrise Jewish Center in Sunrise, Florida, for the HaShaoh ceremony that took place on May 1st, 2011. We'll be back with Rabbi Yaakov Thompson right after these messages.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare supplement insurance card too.
Medicare is one of the great things about turning 65, but it doesn't cover everything. In fact, it only pays up to 80% of your Part B expenses. If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare supplement insurance plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps cover some of the medical expenses not paid by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying up to thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP. When you call now, you'll get this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who have already put their trust in AARP Medicare supplement insurance. Plus, you'll get this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive.
I can keep my own doctor,
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get a free information kit. Plus, you'll get this free guide to understanding Medicare. And the advantages don't end there. Choose from a range of Medicare supplement plans that are all competitively priced. We have a plan for almost everyone, so you could find one that fits your needs and budget. With all Medicare supplement plans, there are virtually no claim forms to fill out. Plus, you can keep your own doctor and hospital that accepts Medicare. And best of all, these plans are the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say.
sign me up.
Call the number on your screen now and find out about an AARP Medicare supplement insurance plan. You'll get this free information kit and guide to understanding Medicare to help you choose the plan that's right for you. As with all Medicare supplement plans, you can keep your own doctor and hospital that accepts Medicare, get help paying for what Medicare doesn't, and save up to thousands of dollars. Call this toll-free number now.
Ani mahamin be'emuna sheleima beviat HaMashiach beviat HaMashiach ani mahamin.
Friends, I want to welcome you to my congregation, Sunrise Jewish Center. Today we're bringing you the South Florida Survivors Holocaust Commemoration Service in conjunction with the South Florida Holocaust Survivors and the United Jewish Community and Broward Federation of South Florida. Please stay tuned for our service. Our Father in heaven, Rock, Redeemer of Israel, bless us at this hour with the gift of memory, the gift of resolve, and the gift of resolution. Bless the souls of those whom we remember today. Tehiyu nishmatam tzururim b'tzura chayim. Let those who were slaughtered be remembered in this world, and let them be remembered in the world to come. Bless us with courage and faith to call the world to witness those things that were thought to be unthinkable. Give madness no quarter, give hatred no voice. Give us a new heart to say never again. Bless us, all your people, Kol Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael, with shalom uvriut, and let us say amen.
Kol od balei ba penima nefesh Yehudi הומיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציר צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו בארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים.
It just happened that today, by actually come and chant my Mola for the year, for the Yom HaShaoh, I am happening to observe the Yortzeit of my entire family, which got lost before Israel has established the Yom HaShaoh. I observed the Yortzeit for my parents, sisters, and brothers, and in one day I lost from the entire family 102 people. I will chant, of course, the memorial, the Keil Rachamim, and I'll sing one of the songs and some songs with the cantor together. We just make it it should be improved, it should be nice and look fine for everything. And today I have a special occasion for chanting the Keil Rachamim. And I thank you for listening to me. Thank you. שנהרגו ונשרפו, שנשרפו ונשחטו, ונקברו חיים בכל מיתות משונות, ויחזוריות קידוש השם בעבור שאנחנו בניהם ובנותיהם, אחיהם ואחותיהם נודבים לצדקה, ביד הזכרת נשמותיהם. בגן עדן תהי מנחתם, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפף ליהומים, ויצרור בצור החיים את נשמותיהם, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו ושלום על משכבותיהם, ונאמר אמן.
Something's cooking on JLTV. On Kosher Organic Ranchero, host Yo Menu is whipping up good food that's good for you. Everyday kosher cooking brings you mouth-watering recipes from top chefs and home cooks just like you. Your favorite Bubby is making the food you ate as a kid. And finally, Organic Authority with Laura Klein will teach you how to make healthy eating taste great. Mondays, starting at 8 p.m., only on JLTV.
Well, I'm not exactly sure the exact number of years that the Federation's been doing this, but I'm sure it has been at least 15 years, because you yourself have just said you were involved for 10 years. I've been involved for about 6 years. It's a collaborative effort between the Jewish Federation of Broward County and the Holocaust Survivors of South Florida, which is a Broward-based Holocaust survivors organization. Our first responsibility is to make sure that all survivors live out their lives in dignity, receiving home health care, emergency financial assistance, and socialization opportunities so necessary to living a full life. Federation, through our funding of Jewish Family Service and our senior centers, ensures these goals are met. Next, we want to make sure that federal and state legislation is passed to support survivors in such areas as insurance claims from the past. And we do this through our advocacy efforts based on relationships we have with elected officials. And finally, in keeping with our theme today, the importance of memory, we value the importance of Holocaust education and fund the annual Student Awareness Day run by the Holocaust Documentation and Education Center with a $10,000 annual grant. Each survivor in our community is precious to us. Personally, I've had the pleasure of working on this program for several years with the Holocaust Survivors of South Florida, and count the members of the planning committee, most of whom are behind me, as treasured friends.
Well, first, I'm so honored to be able to speak on behalf of one of the marchers. It was an unbelievable program, and I think one of the messages that I want to get across is how important it is for every Jewish child to have the opportunity to go on this so that they can all be a witness to the witness so that this doesn't happen again.
Tell your children of it, and let your children tell their children and another generation. On April 7th, 2010, I was privileged to begin a journey that will forever have an impact on my life. I, along with 70+ teens, including my son Jordan, boarded a plane filled with other Jewish teens from around the U.S. to embark on the 2010 March of the Living trip. We landed in Poland and had morning services right there in the airport as the Polish security guards looked on. And I kept wondering, what were they thinking about what they were seeing with all these Jews back in their country again? We went to Treblinka that day, and it was so eerie. Walking among the stone monuments, I remember how loud the silence was, how the Nazis tried to erase the devastation and murder that they committed there, and how these wonderful Jewish teens would walk around this place and never let that be erased again. I think of one of the most moving days for me was the day that we went to Majdanek. It was a very long bus ride, and I'd brought my guitar, and we were singing, and it was actually a very joyful trip. And we finally pulled off the highway, and there we were at Majdanek, basically right in the middle of a town. And I kept thinking, this can't be right. We're right in the middle of an actual town. The camp there is untouched. We walked in, past the barbed wire, the guard towers, through the showers, into the barracks, the gas chambers, the crematoria. It was all there. A storeroom filled with shoes and more shoes. I walked into the crematoria where you could just stand there, right in front of the ovens that burned my people. I wanted so badly to move, but I felt rooted to that spot. And when you leave the building, you see a monument, a giant flying saucer-looking building. This is where the ashes and the remains of the Jews that were murdered there were collected when the camp was liberated. A giant mound of human ash.
The message that I brought back from the march probably would be that life will go on after horrific events. Yes, we should learn about them to make sure that it doesn't happen again, but even after tragedies, no matter how different things may seem after, life will go on. Imagine being starved and treated like a slave. Imagine thinking, why is this happening to me? Imagine being me, someone who has heard about the Holocaust in Hebrew school, all the horrors and tragedies laid out on paper, and yet it felt like I wasn't learning anything. The March of the Living was exactly the program I needed. What could be better than going to Poland and Israel with thousands of teenagers from all around the world? Immediately, I signed up for a trip that would ultimately change the way I perceive my life. Prior to the march, we were required to take classes that pertained to the Nazi atrocities. We covered the propaganda, the formation of the concentration camps, life in the camps, and the liberation. At first, I didn't understand the reasoning behind the classes, but it wasn't until I arrived in Poland that I finally understood. In 3 words, here's my first impression of Poland: stormy, dirty, and depressing. Immediately departing from our flight, we headed into our first mincha service in the baggage claim. All this may have looked odd to some people, but it definitely brought us closer together as a group before our long journey ahead. Now, I'm not going to stand here before you and try to relive each place or event I visited. However, I will try to explain the impression of some of these places left on me. The first concentration camp we visited was Treblinka, where the average lifespan of a person was 18 minutes. Heading through the clearing, I was expected to see smokestacks, barracks, and maybe even gas chambers. Instead, there was an extremely large field, fully filled with different sized stones, 17,000 to be exact. In the middle of the opening was a large memorial made up of a stone column. Even though the typical sites of a concentration camp was not there, the theme was just as powerful. Seeing this, it helped me to perceive just how many people's lives changed in an instant. My bus survivor, David Mandel, told me to listen to my surroundings. I heard birds chirping and told him this. His response was, when I was here, there were no birds, only vultures. On the second day, we headed to Majdanek, and this was probably the most influential for me. Driving up, it was almost appalling to see how close the surrounding town lived to this camp, just across the street. And to see people walking their dogs or riding their bikes through the camp really upset me on a personal level. So many people lost their lives to hatred here, and civilians were just strolling through Majdanek like it was a park. However, one of the most significant things I found on that day was a butterfly in a gas chamber. I mean, here was an insect that signifies beauty and innocence, and it was in one of the most horrific and deadly things man could have ever created. The small creature meant to me that no matter what happens in the past, life will always go on. It may not be the same, but there will always be a tomorrow. However, this day was not all sad, because this day was also a start of a beautiful thing, my friendship with Ariel Ozeri. She single-handedly changed my life, and 1 year and 22 days later, our friendship has never been stronger. Quoting David Mandel, I do not hate anymore because look what hate brings us.
It can change the way you live.
It can take away everything you have.
It can destroy your family.
And make your children's future uncertain.
It's hurt more.
Damaged more.
Killed more.
Than anything mankind has ever known.
What is it?
It's hate.
And it must end.
Now.
The B'nai Brit, enlightening America and the world. We'll be here till there's no more hate.
Today is May 1st, and we're here to gather and to commemorate the 6 million Kedoshim what we lost. Unfortunately, I don't know what to say, how to express. Where was the whole world when we were murdered, slaughtered like animals? I was there, watching 4 chimneys burning with our loved ones. The world was deaf and mute. I know why, because we didn't have a country. If we would have had a country, if we would have had Israel then, millions of our loved ones would be alive today. That's why we have to do everything in our power and see to it that Israel should exist and be strong, because without Israel, history might repeat. Never again, never again. I was only 12 years old at the time. and I went through torture. I lost my whole family. My mother was only 39 years old when she died in my arms from starvation. The last word says, "My dear child, will you ever have breath enough in your life?" And I really thank you for giving me the opportunity to say the few words. Thank you very much, and I hope that we will never be forgotten, and it will continue, the younger generation will continue to commemorate our memory, our loved ones. And thank you again.
Whereas the Holocaust spanned years of suffering and death during which many families were completely decimated, and whereas even though it had been over 50 years since the Holocaust, to survivors the Holocaust remains real and ever present. And whereas there is one day in the year when we make a special effort to remember those who suffered, those who fought, and those who died. And whereas Yom HaShaoh, a day established to remember the Holocaust and the 6 million Jews who perished, is also the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And whereas the Knesset, Israel's parliament, proclaimed Yom HaShaoh, Umored Hagdot, Holocaust and the Ghetto Revolt Remembrance Day to be the 27th day of Nisan, the name later became known as Yom HaShaoh Hagavora, Devastation and Heroism Day, and even later was simplified to Yom HaShaoh. And whereas the 27th of Nisan was chosen because this date falls beyond Passover and within the time span of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, it was decided if the 27th of Nisan affected Shabbat, it would be moved to the following Sunday. And whereas Yom HaShaoh is generally observed with the lighting of 6 candles that represent the 6 million who perished, and also with speakers, poems, prayers, and singing. Some ceremonies include reading from the Book of Names in order to give an understanding of the huge number of victims. And whereas in Israel the Knesset made Yom HaShaoh a national public holiday and passed a law that closed all public entertainment. At 10 o'clock in the morning, a siren is sounded for everyone to stop whatever they are doing and stand in remembrance. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Broward County, Florida, that the Board hereby designates Sunday, May 1st, 2011, as Yom HaShaoh, a day in which those who were perished during the Holocaust are remembered in Broward County, Florida. Signed by Suzanne Gunsberger, Mayor. Miriam?
I want to say thank you very much for giving us the proclamation. The main thing, I thank you for being remembered, that we are remembered. Please don't forget us. Don't forget what the terrible world did to us. Thank you. At this time, please, all survivors rise. Without weapons, we fought. We fought hunger, cold, misery, loss of family. The tortures what we went through is unspeakable, unbelievable to human race. Please sit down. Where was the world? Where was the whole world where 6 million of us were burned? Where? Why was the world silent? 6 million, 1.5 million children among them. The world was deaf and mute when we were burnt and killed. I was there watching 4 chimneys burning day and night with our loved ones. Again, where was everybody? Where was everybody? Why? Why? I am asking that question many times to myself. Unfortunately, I never got an answer. But I came to a conclusion why we were killed, why nobody spoke, because we did not have a country to speak for us. If we would have had Israel, millions of our brothers and sisters be alive today. That's why we have to do everything in our power.
It's more than just an album. It's a mitzvah, the Jewish songbook, the heart and humor of a people. With selections from some of today's top entertainers, from Adam Sandler to Barbara Streisand. Featuring 11 brand new recordings of classic Jewish songs. The Jewish Songbook is an extraordinary expression of the experience created by artists embracing their own heritage. The Jewish Songbook, the heart and humor of a people. In stores now.
An entire country was born from heroes who struggle against insurmountable odds to create a safe and secure homeland where Jews could cherish their freedom and heritage. Ordinary people performing extraordinary feats to transform stark desert into a thriving nation. This is their story, the pioneers of Israel.
Many remarkable women were among the array of outstanding pioneers who built the state of Israel. Perhaps the most well-known and revered is Golda Meir.